Hey everybody, what is going on? HexLex here, got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which means of course it is once again time for our weekly viewer special. Always excited to see what games you all have in store for us today. So if you are new to the series or channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, this is probably my favorite series that we do because I get to showcase games from you all, the viewers, which lets us see a variety of decks, a lot of which I don't often play myself, which lets us all have a nice learning experience together. It lets us showcase a variety of builds as well, even of stuff I already have played. And of course, it's really cool to cheer each other on and celebrate our good games with each other. Just really lets us kind of come together, feel more like a community there, which I really appreciate. So yeah, if you're interested in submitting for the viewer special, you're going to want to head down to the description below. There's going to be an invite link to our Discord server, the HexLexPlex. Once there, you will be able to find under the Master Duel section the viewer special submissions channel. Main bit of info you'll want to leave there is your 9-digit player ID. That way I can see your publicly saved replays. Please do make sure this number is entered correctly and that your replays are set to public. That way I may be able to see them. What else is there? Oh, if you've got like 15 different replays, you can submit as many different times as you want. I just ask that they're different submissions and that we're not submitting the same game over and over again. But that's pretty much all I got for you. So without further ado, let's watch some of your awesome games. Alright, our first game comes to us from Darkness, who has a game where they are playing Weather Painters, which is not a deck that I've seen in quite some time, but here it is, the Weather Painter deck. 50 cards, we've got a ton of different kinds of floodgates, as well as various tools like Cashier to help us out. I only laughed because I'm like, okay, I have to say floodgates and not put any stank on it. No, I don't really care if people play floodgates at all. Like, I mean, it's a part of the game, you know, and I do think that it has a valid place in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, of course, when Floodgates first came into Master Duel, and there's 3 of all of them, plus Imperial Order, plus Vandy's Emptiness, that's obviously a bit much, but I do think there is a healthy balance. So, anyway, now that I threw that little disclaimer out there, yeah, we're on Weather Painters featuring Super Poly, and our opponent is going to be on Fiend Smith, Azamina, White Forest, Snake Eye. I might want to actually look at this build a little bit later because I've been wanting to cram all of these different engines into one deck here, but I can't quite figure out the extra deck. I wonder if this person's nailed it or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive right on in. So this is a game where we're going to be doing it with, taking the win that is, with just Weather Painters and a Super Poly, according to Darkness here. So let's take a look at this duel. We're taking the first turn. And yeah, none of those floodgates in our hand. You know, I want to point that out only because I just know a lot of people would see a build like that and be like, oh, well, Weather Painters aren't good. They just went off the backs of floodgates. And I really don't like that kind of like invalidating sort of mentality when it comes to looking at a list and making assumptions about it, right? Alright, so it looks like we set up the Fenrir and our Weather Painter stuff before passing over to our opponent. So, for those who are unaware, the Snowy Canvas here will allow them to search a Weather Painter monster by banishing it. Of course, it gains the effect of you know, all Weather Painter monsters in the column. So that's why Thunder was summoned specifically to this column where Snowy Canvas has been played. The Rainy Canvas, what does this one do? I'm trying to remember. Turn a spell trap card the opponent controls and return it to the hand. So again, that would apply to any Weather Painter monsters in this column. Now the field spell here lets them place any weather spell or trap from the deck into the spell trap zone, and then if you link summon a weather link monster, you can also use the effects of weather cards in your spell trap zones as the weather monsters for its link summon. And then you get extra normal summons for weather monsters too. So just to give a general gist of, you know, what all this stuff is doing here, because I know it's not an archetype I imagine a lot of people would be super familiar with. So our opponent elected to use Imperm on the Fenrir here, which I think makes sense, right? They're probably a little more concerned with their monster being banished than with Painter Thunder getting a search. Plus, is this a quick effect? It is a quick effect, so it could simply chain to the Imperm anyway. Lurie coming out off the Tract. That was searched off Engraver. Opponent's going to go for the Requiem here, Requiem F, and that will grab another Engraver. Looks like they're going to equip the Requiem, and we're activating Requiem to get rid of the Thunder here, or rather to force it. So Weather Painter Thunder is going to be activating at this point to search another Weather Painter card. That'll be Snow. And now Requiem is going to get sit in order to activate the OSS. Yeah, Original Sinful Spoils seeing a lot more play in Snake Eye decks ever since those Rating Duel deck lists came out, and all the Snake Eye builds are on 3 of them. Poplar for Temple. Going for Super Poly here on the Ash and Poplar. And that's going to summon the Garura. And that actually does put our opponent in a pretty tricky spot if you think about it, right? Because now they have Temple and 2 other cards in hand. They've already used their normal summon, and the Temple alone is not going to get them really any meaningful extension here. They can just get the Snake Eyes the Bellstar, sure, but can they get any more, you know, bodies after that? Looks like they are going to be able to get the Engraver. But here's the other problem, actually, uniquely for our opponent here, right? It's that they've already used the whole Fiendsmith line. So normally, yeah, having Engraver plus another monster would be great here. But even if they were to go into sequence, like, I don't know, they could summon Desiree, and that's about it. Or they could go into Fiendsmith's Lacrima, but without, like, a Beatrice, you know, to be able to dump off stuff to go into. There's not a whole lot they can do. Even then, if Beatrice were still legal, the Snake Eye Ash has already been used, so... Excuse me. Now, granted, our opponent here is on White Forest stuff, so if they had Beatrice, they could, in theory, summon that too. Okay, looks like they are going to end up going for the Desiree to make a negate. But we only really have to deal with 1 negate, you know, going into our opponent's turn, or into our turn here, rather. Which is not too shabby, not too shabby at all. Oh, it's also, it definitely helps when our opponent's going to just fire off the Desiree effect. I guess it makes sense, right? That they would want to stop us from being able to search or bounce the spell traps. Particularly bouncing the sequence and turning off the Desiree. But we're able to use Thunder to simply cycle into a new copy of Snowy Canvas. And then we can use Snow in order to set up the Rainbow Canvas. And after that, we're going to Link Summon using our 3 spell traps in order to summon out the Weather Painter Rainbow. That's so cool, the field spell lets you do that. And then we can simply get them back with the Painter Cloud. Oh, so good. Now they're also not negated anymore either, by the way. From here, we get Aurora as well as the Garura effect, since we tribute summoned the Aurora. Drawing into D-Fissure, and then we get to set up the Cloudy Canvas. And like, yeah, now D-Fissure is up, but, you know, obviously... when our opponent was comboing off, we didn't have the ability to, the luxury of being able to sit on the D-Fissure here. Alright, now Snowy Canvas gets to come back. They're going to use the field spell effect, or at least try to. However, since we placed it above the Rainy Canvas, we can simply negate and destroy. So no Snake Eye Ash for the opponent. And then we still get to bring back our other Weather Painter stuff, or we would if our opponent didn't concede. So, yeah, the Dimensional Fissure wasn't even really a part of that concede there. It was just us being able to recycle the Weather Painter monsters. So there you go. All you need is your Weather Painters, a Super Poly, and a Dream. And you too can beat the Snake Eye Fiendsmith deck. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Darkness, for submitting that game. We still, of course, have a couple more to see. Let's go into the next one. Okay, our next game comes to us from Something Cool, aka the one and only, over on the Discord server, who says they're going through a bit of a Subterror phase, which is kind of funny because I have a couple of friends who are literally always going through a Subterror phase. If you're out there and you're watching, you know who you are. So yeah, it looks like we are going to be on Subterror for this one. The Hidden City and all. This is one of those decks that I like don't think about too often, except when I face against it and they're like looping Final Battle, and I'm like, oh, this deck is really scary. And we have the Witch's Strike and everything. That's really cool. I love it. All right, so we are on Subterror, and it looks like I was accidentally on our opponent's deck before. They're going to be on Unchained Yubel. Now, I know every Yubel deck plays a small Unchained package, but this one is actually playing a solid amount of Unchained cards, and is also rocking Super Polys as well. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. See if we can have another... Well, I mean, we already saw the game result in the replay there, but ignoring that, let's see if another, you know, lower rogue deck can take on one of the upper top meta decks. And I say lower rogue, but I definitely don't mean that as an insult, of course. Something like Subterror or Weather Painter, you know, as always, with just about any deck out there, with a few exceptions, you know, it's more about having a dedicated pilot, right? As opposed to the deck just never being able to do anything ever. I guess what I mean by that is that, you know, some people would assume that, like, oh, you know, Weather Painters and Subterrors could never, ever beat a meta deck for any reason ever. And it's like, it's a lot more pilot dependent than you would think. Like, yeah, the power gap is there, but it's not the sole deciding factor. Alright, so we're sitting on this Gozen, not having to really use that yet, able to counter all of their stuff so far. Popping Nightmare Pain and Gates there was so good. We have the Simultaneous Equation Cannon as well. They're going to go Beast, Extra Normal Summon for the D-Lotus, but we have the second Fiendus in hand in order to negate the D-Lotus. Alright, and they're going to pass, so of course their 0 attack Dark Beckoning Beast is not able to get over our Fiendus. Flip Summon, moving to battle phase, we can get over their Beckoning Beast. And now our opponents all of a sudden kind of found themselves in top deck mode. And again, in a situation where we haven't even had to use our Gozen to put them there. Not that Gozen, I mean, yeah, they don't play solely Dark Attribute decks in Yubel, but I feel like Yubel could probably get away being Dark Locked fairly easily. You mostly wouldn't have access to, what, Sharvara and then some stuff in your extra deck? Okay, they found a Nightmare Throne. They're going for a Spirit off of that. Oh, they added the Spirit. That's interesting. I guess if we battle, then they can special summon the Spirit, but maybe they meant to pop it and misclicked? I'm not sure here. But either way, we're still sitting pretty. Yeah, Subterror is like the definition of a control deck. You can definitely just kind of chill, wait for your opponent to do stuff. Okay, now they're going to do Unchained stuff. Here's the Sharvara. Now they have a fire attribute monster and water. Yeah, this is the time to Gozen for sure. And now they can't summon Dark, which is particularly good against the Yubel side of their deck. Here's the Equation Cannon, but unfortunately, don't worry, the one and only did point this out in their submission post. They were like, yeah, Equation Cannon, we totally intentionally misfired that. But it's all good. Alright, so they actually got rid of the Gozen here, but we're able to use our Wind Pegasus at Ignister to bounce, I think, there. Oh, it shuffles back the Shayama. And they're going to summon the Soul. The Unchained Soul here. Abominable Unchained Soul. We have the Dogmatica Punishment in response to that being to pop as they pop our Fiendus, but they're not able to get a foothold on the board and are still left wide open. And here we have access to the Hidden City, which once you get Hidden City into Guru, it becomes so much harder for the opponent to come back at that point. Now we're adding the Cave Clash. That's really cool. That's going to let us get a little bit of a buff there. And as well as they go to summon the Yubel here, then we'll have the Guru effect to turn it face down. What else does Cave Clash do again? When it inflicts battle damage, you can target a Subterror card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. That's actually pretty handy for getting back the Fiendus there. Which it looks like that's what our original plan was, but of course, the Spirit of the Yubel got in the way of that. Okay, so they do have a D-Lotus, which you're going to go to use here. D-Lotus is going to summon another Spirit. Spirit F getting another... No, they're getting Eternal Favorite, not another Nightmare Pain. Alright, here's the Equation Cannon. And this time, we did math correctly. I'm definitely not going to make fun at all, though, because, listen, I've never even attempted to activate a Simultaneous Equation Cannon. I am terrified to even attempt to activate a Simultaneous Equation Cannon. Why do you think I never play Lab anymore? It's because I am not trying to make a fool of myself and show off my inability to do math. Nightmare Pain coming down from our opponent. They're going to activate the effects, but we have Subterror Fiendus to negate and destroy. No, it only negates, never mind. But negating is good enough, of course. We'll stop the Nightmare Pain. You can flip down Guru, flip it back up with Final Battle, getting Nemesis Archer, and then our opponent's going to pass right back over to us here. Finding a Lava Golem, don't really need that in this situation. We can simply use the Archer in order to shuffle back the monster that we're battling into. Final Battle, buffing the Guru, letting us swing in for a lot of damage there, and we can even add back the Fiendus. It's so over for our opponent at this point. Like, they're in top deck mode, we have a negate and the final battle. It's just, yeah, it's over. It's over! Good stuff. Thank you for that submission there, one and only, aka Fun Enjoyer. But we do still have one more to look at. Let's go into our last game. Okay, our final game comes to us from Sui, aka Medsla, over on the Discord server, who has the game of Salamangreat versus Primite Blue Eyes. They say we play with questionable plays that might make no sense. Also, funny ending. Awesome, can't wait to see it. So, yeah, checking out Salamangreat here. I haven't played this deck in so long. God, I should really come back to Salad. Oh, the Royal Sprite Elf, so jealous. Ooh, Royal Prom Princess too, as well as the Terratops here. Hell yeah, good stuff. And then our opponent, as mentioned before, is going to be on the Primite Blue Eyes deck. Looks pretty standard for the most part. They're on the Ultimate Fusion. I don't get why so many people are on the Ultimate Fusion. I mean, I get what the use of it is. I just don't really think it's optimal at all. I don't really understand, but... Alright, we're taking the second turn here. We did open our Dominus Impulse, which is quite good for us. Well, it's going to lead with Ether Barrel, setting the Lordly Load. Lordly Load's activating, assuming they're going to add a Drill Beam. No, they get another Ether Barrel, so they must already have the Drill Beam in hand. Linking off Ether Barrel, they're going to then link summon, of course, the Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Spirit F activating in order to add the Mausoleum of White. Now Lordly Load F is going to summon the Blue Eyes. Oh, they must not have Sage in hand, because now they're going to have to go into Sphere's Pass. Yeah, because if they had Sage in hand, they would have activated the Mausoleum, extra normal summon Sage, full combo. But... not the case here. We're going to go for Draw Face Circle for the Mirror. I love Salamangreat Mirror. This card's actually, like, low-key pretty good in the deck. I like it a lot. We're actually going to Battle Phase with the Mirror to force the Spheres? That's awesome! Wait, that's an awesome play. I really like that a lot, actually. That's something I do with Appaloosa a lot of the time. And yeah, they did have Drill Beam in hand. I did that with Appaloosa all the time, though. I think a lot of people just kind of don't really consider that as an option, right? That you can just battle over something like an Appaloosa or a Spheres in order to get rid of it. You know, something that would prevent you from comboing out on your main phase 1. Like, yeah, you don't get to OTK that turn, but if your options are, you know, attempt to combo in main phase 1 and get stopped, or combo out during main phase 2 and then, you know, use your board full of negates to stop your opponent on their follow-up turn, I think the latter is pretty obviously going to be better than the former. Oh, that's rough. They also have an Imperm for a Mirage Shalio. That is actually just brutal. We do have the Weasel here, though, which is normally... no. Mirage Shalio would normally... well, we led with Salamangreat of Fire. If you don't lead with Salamangreat of Fire, that's normally what you summon off Mirage Shalio and then search Weasel. Anyway, we're going to go for a Sunlight Wolf here. Getting to do the Weasel F. Oh, and we can even bounce the Magnum Hut with Mirage Shalio. Putting Mirror in the Sunlight Wolf zone. That lets us add back the Gazelle for a follow-up turn, which is nice. Gonna extra... or no, what is it called in the anime? Reincarnation Link Summon. That's what it is. Into another Sunlight Wolf. Lets us add back the Circle as well. Set 3, and then pass over to our opponent, who's going to get Neo Kaiser Seahorse off of the Magnum Hut. That's a little scary. Our opponent might be able to make Baron here, but I guess it's not a huge deal even if they do. Well, we have Dominus Impulse. I mean, that can maybe stop the Magnum Hut effect, but not a lot else. Well, no, that's not true. It can also stop Roar. It can stop Maiden. There's a number of things. They actually summoned the Blue Eyes into our other Sunlight Wolf zone. That's kind of wild, but we'll definitely take it. Getting to add back yet another Fire Monster. Putting back Mirage Shalio. That's really smart. Making sure that we have plays to go into on a follow-up turn. Okay, they are going to end up making the Baron here, which is, again, a little bit rough, but we'll be fine. Neo Kaiser Seahorse going to dump the Maiden in white. Using Balinks to protect the Sunlight Wolf. Oh, and eating the 800 damage from our own mirror. Ooh, they hit Cyanite Mining. That's really good for us. It's the exact card we actually wanted them to hit with the bear on there, so. Saving Dominus Impulse for the Maiden of White. That was a very, very patient play. And I applaud you for that, because I would not have had the patience. You heard throughout my commentary how eager I was to fire off that Dominus Impulse the whole time, but using it there has prevented our opponent from being able to go into their Spirit, and in turn Ultimate Spirit on our turn, which of course would have made playing through their turn quite a bit more difficult. Okay, there goes the Drill Beam. They do still have the Baron negate as well. This is actually kind of scary. And we're going to play through this, you say? I mean, I know we are because I saw the results, but I mean, that's still wild that we're able to do that here. Rashalio F. Yep, there's the Baron to negate and destroy. But we do still have Gazelle in hand. And once the Rashalio is destroyed, we can special summon the Gazelle. Gazelle F is going to activate. And they have an Effect Veiler too! They have everything! What? Oh no! Okay, there goes our Gazelle F. And we're still going to link off into the... Because I think we have Jaguar in the graveyard, right? Oh, we have Weasel. We have Weasel. And then we can go Will F to special summon the Sunlight Wolf. Ooh, okay. Now we have things, the gears are turning. We got Prom Princess here. Prom Princess F activate in order to bring back Sunlight Wolf. Now those two are going to get linked off. Yeah, for the Pyro Phoenix. And then now we can Sanctuary. Oh, they have Nib! Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? They had Nib too? Oh, that's rough. But it does give us a huge token. So if they can't out this token, we're looking really good here. Now they get to add back Ether Barrel. And they'll get to reset Drill Beam. But Drill Beam actually can't banish the token because it has to negate the card too. And you can't negate a token. So that's not an out. That is not an out to the Nib token. Okay, there's Spirit. Bringing back Blue Eyes. Still cannot out the Nibiru token. Maiden F plays True Light. I will say this, if our opponent was playing Vermilion Dragon Mech, that would have been able to out the Nib token right here. That's why I really like playing Vermilion Dragon Mech. Not for that exact situation, of course, but there's a lot of weird situations like that that Vermilion Dragon Mech will just bail you out of. Is this the funny ending you were talking about? Because this is really funny to think that our opponent's going to, like, fully board build here and just not be able to out a 13,600 attack Nibiru token. They didn't even switch their Nib to defense mode. They're bold. Okay, we're gonna activate Will. Okay, they have Majesty. Now surely they're gonna pop the token, right? Nope. They're not at all, actually. And in fact, they're gonna use Balinks. Cheating Maxi. We get to use Cross That Designator on the Maxi. This is funny. I like this. Alright, so... there's Spirit Dragon for Ultimate. No, for Moonlight Rose. Oh! I totally wasn't even thinking about that. We're going to chain Promethean Princess as they try to bounce. They're still not going after our token at all here. They're just completely ignoring it. Okay, there's Drill Beam, yep. But now our opponent's literally out of stuff. I know exactly how this is going to end. Yep. That sounds about right. Oh, that was so good. That was awesome. Oh, thank you very much for that. That was an excellent game. Thank you to everybody who submitted, not just to those who were featured, because we could not do this series without your submissions. So even if you didn't get picked, just know that, you know, one, like I said, this series could not happen without you submitting. Two, we do this every single week. And three, I like to go through and watch the replays anyway, even if I don't submit them. So I very likely saw your game as it is. But All right, that'll do it for this one, and thank you for watching. As always, I really do appreciate when you watch all the way to the end of the video. That is very helpful for not just my channel, but any smaller growing YouTube channel. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the viewer special. But for now, let's move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.